Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to welcome back State Representative Peter Buckley. Peter, good to see you again. How are you today?
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's go through a rundown kind of on this last session just wrapped up recently. Genetically modified organisms. Where do we stand with those?
That was a huge issue during this legislative session. As you know, Jackson County citizens have filed to put a ballot measure on for May of 2014. And not surprisingly, the GMO folks brought to the legislature a bill to ban counties from banning GMOs. So there was a lot of effort that went into kind of wrestling with that legislation, trying to talk about what is a county's right, whether they want to have genetically modified crops or not. The argument was that the state should be the one to regulate, not on the county level. But there are 3 counties in California that have had bans on GMO crops for many years now. And it's worked out very well for California agriculture. In overall, the counties that use GMO, they're prospering. The counties that don't use GMO are prospering. Marin and Mendocino counties in California in particular, they're branding their counties as GMO-free Marin County or GMO-free Mendocino. And that's how they're selling their crops. With the scare that we had with the Eastern Oregon wheat crop, I think that gave us some traction to kind of say, look, let's slow down on GMOs. Let's see what our state really wants to do with our agricultural business in the future.
And now, will a bill come back up next session, or was it squashed enough that you don't believe that?
We were able to hold it out, and if I had to guess right now, there will probably be another attempt, but I think enough legislators really looked at this issue and they're wrestling with it. I think people are interested to see what happens in Jackson County. Are we going to pass the ban? If we do, what does that mean to agriculture in Jackson County? I know citizens in Lane County are also interested in this possibility, but I think people really need to look at what happened in California. And San Juan County in Washington, a small county in Washington, banned GMOs in January in a vote. And again, they're looking to brand their crops as GMO-free because there is a growing market. The European Union, for instance, does not allow imports of GMO crops into their countries, or does not allow crops to be grown. Most GMO crops are not grown in the European Union now.
Fascinating. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. Much more with Peter in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, here with State Representative Peter Buckley. So, Peter, you sponsored a bill regulating medical marijuana a little stronger, or tell us more about this and where does it stand?
The huge issue, one of the huge issues about the medical marijuana program that I've heard from constituents is safe access to medical marijuana. If you have a medical marijuana card, how do you access medical marijuana? Do you go down to the local park and look for somebody who might have marijuana? I mean, I had a lot of particularly senior citizens contact me and say, my doctor says this might be helpful for me. I'm going through cancer, chemotherapy. How do I get marijuana? And as a state official, I'm not exactly able to say, well, look, here's how you get it. But,
I would imagine.
But dispensaries have been operating now for a couple of years. And of course, the bust here in Medford was big news. And so the idea behind this bill was, okay, people are starting to operate these dispensaries. Let's regulate them. Let's make sure they are safe. Let's make sure the marijuana that comes into them is tracked. So that we only have the number of people with medical marijuana cards working with a dispensary, and try to focus on how much marijuana is coming in and make sure it's mold-free, pesticide-free. It's safe for people on the program. It doesn't solve all the problems around the medical marijuana program, but it does address this one problem of safe access.
Very good. And it has passed the House and Senate, and the governor will have it to consider.
From all indications, he'll sign it sometime soon.
Fascinating. All right, we'll talk about education funding. That's another big one that you guys dealt with a lot in this session.
That's why I ran in the first place, Greg, because my passion for education. I have 3 kids, and you've got a little one. I'm sure you're focused on what's going to happen for education. And that was my passion. A lot of us have the passion for education. And we came into this session determined to start to turn around our disinvestment in education. And we did it. We were able to get a K-12 budget that allows most local school districts, in fact, most school districts statewide, to start adding back teachers, adding back days. And what's most exciting, we're also adding back shop classes at middle schools and high schools throughout the state. I think we're moving in the right direction in terms of investing in education. In higher ed, we're going to hold down tuition increases for the first time in years. They're going to be down to about 3%, 3.5%, and perhaps even next year holding them down to 0 if we get a little bit of luck there.
Very good. Okay, now I do want to ask you about a cohort of yours, Republican Dennis Richardson, a guy you worked with very much so on the budget. He's announced he will run for governor. What do you think of his chances?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I mean, Dennis is he's compiled this email list from state agencies, and he has a very wide distribution of emails. And for a long time, he's been talking about bigger picture items. So I think he has a good chance for the Republican nomination. I don't know about his chances for the general election. He's very much to the right on the political spectrum. And I think in Oregon, I don't know whether someone on the far right can get elected governor. I do disagree with his policies on the economy. He's more for the austerity approach that Wisconsin's used and the southern states have used. And if you look at job creation around the country, the states that have gone for austerity have not succeeded. The states have done investments in education, investments in job training. Those states are the ones that have seen their economy come back. And Oregon's economy is coming back. So I think he has a hard argument to make.
Okay. And do you believe Governor Kitzhaber will run for re-election?
He has not given any indication that he won't.
No inside information.
And I believe he will. And I think he's got a strong record to run on, particularly in health care. I do think we are on the path to make sure every Oregonian has access to affordable health care.
Very good. Peter, good to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.